Hi everyone, welcome back to Building Blocks of Safety Systems. Today we are going to have together building block number 3, which is hazard identification, an easy but very important subject. In this module, we will cover 3 points: the importance of hazard identification, the different categories of hazards, and how to improve our skill of hazard identification using 3 simple techniques. Here is the detailed outline of this block and how we are going to cover it. And it will include some exercises, as you can see. And let's just go through the module. Let's start this module by a simple reminder. What actually is a hazard? What we are trying to identify here. From building block number 1, you can remember we defined hazard as anything with the potential to cause harm to a pair. What is pair? I will pause for a few seconds and let us see if your answers match my answer. Pair is people, environment, asset, and reputation. So anything that may cause damage or harm any of these 4 elements is a hazard. And these 4 elements are the focus of all EHS management systems. Examples of worksite hazards, there are hundreds of them. Fire, explosion, toxic gas, corrosive material, inert gas, flammable gas, slippery floor, falling objects, hundreds of them. And there are hundreds on work site and also off work site. Both of them can affect the pair. So having defined what is hazard, our task become a little easier. At least it is clear. Hazard identification and how important it is. I came across these 3 images which are self-explanatory. Failing to identify the hazard may cause us to lose some dear ones, or we lose our lives and our families suffer. And that's actually the objective of all EHS management systems, is that you are safe, you go back to your family, you are not injured, you are not without one of your arms, or you lost your hearing, or you became blind or paralyzed. You go safe back to your family. That's the ultimate objective, and that's the ultimate objective also of this course and all the building blocks you are learning about here. But let us understand a little more. Let's take these 2 teams that came to the same work site. They are from different contractors, and they are coming to our work site to work. And team A look around, and they managed to find 10 hazards. Team B came and they look also around, and they find the 10 hazards that team A has identified, plus 5 more hazards. So let me ask you this question. Which team is at lower risk? The team that find 10 hazards only, or the teams that find 15 hazards only? And the answer is team B will be at lower risk, because team A will take precautionary measures only for 10 hazards, while team B will take precautions and implement the hazard control measures for 15 hazards, for 5 hazard more. Team A did not take
uh, any control measures for these 5 hazards that they could not identify. It is obvious, right? We cannot assess the risk for something we did not identify. Okay, what about Team C? If we have Team C that came to the same work site and identified 20 hazards. So, if Team A identified 10, Team B identified 15, Team C identified 20, and we can easily say that Team C will be safer. So we can easily say that the more hazards we identify, the safer we will be. The more hazards we identify, the safer we will be.
You will be amazed on how fast we can improve safety on work site by implementing the hazard identification techniques that you are going to learn. In the next few slides, we have images from work sites and from normal life. Our task is to identify some of the hazards. But before we start, I want to clear a very important point. Let's have a look on this slide, the first slide. This guy is working offshore. He's wearing a life jacket, helmet, and he is trying to fix a lifeboat in place. He's not wearing ear protectors or eyeglasses or gloves. Fine. But did you identify the hazard? No. So where are the hazards? What are they? So you have identified already he's not wearing an ear protector. What do you want him to wear the ear protector for? Noise. So noise here is the hazard. He's not wearing safety glasses. Why you want him to wear a safety glass? Flying material, dust, falling debris from the lifeboat. These are the hazards. Right? So he's wearing a helmet because falling material and not hit his head or bang his head against any lower structure or beam. So we try to be clear when we call a hazard, we must really call the real hazard.
Okay, here we have an image from the road during rain, and you can see the hazards: slippery roads, poor visibility, um, over speeding in this condition. Here, these children in this construction site, and they jumping, and we can see there is a hazard falling from height, even if they do it intentionally, and obviously they don't understand the risk of what they are doing. This is really a very, very bad and sad picture. Okay, these very, very small children, they are not, of course, aware of what they are exposed to. He's even stepping on this electrical panel, which is left open. And there is, of course, another hazard, which is these children sitting on the wall. They may fall down. And you can see how dangerous this situation. And of course, if one of them get electrocuted, everybody touching him may be get electrocuted as well. Here we have this slide of there is here a duct and hot air coming, and this material, we don't know what's stored in these cartons. Material could be overheated, spoiled inside if there is a food, or the material is affected by heat, so we lose our assets, and it may cause fire as well. So
this last slide is taken from an excavation site. You can see we have numbered Some of the hazards we identify, maybe you can identify more. But I will not talk about this one because the same slide is shared in the PTW training and in the confined space training. You can refer to them and maybe we can discuss it if we are online. Okay, we reach now the first skill that will help us to improve our hazard identification ability, which is the knowledge of other categories. The other categories were discussed in details in Module 1 or BB1, Understanding Hazards and Risk. So you can refer to that building block number 1 to refresh your memory about it. Okay, in brief, we have 9 other categories that are recognized by ADNOC. Other companies may be required a little more or a little less. And again, the idea here is to group hazards of similar nature under each relevant category. So hazards that include chemical reaction like fire, corrosion, explosion will be grouped under chemical category. Hazards that involve mechanical energy like moving machinery, rotating equipment, reciprocating pumps, lifting equipment, vehicles will come under the mechanical category. Physical will deal with things that don't actually react, but they have an effect on our body or on the equipment, like noise, temperature, humidity, vibration. Biological, virus, bacteria, insects, spiders, snakes, all these are discussed earlier. Ergonomics, ergonomic hazard, actually the word ergonomic is dealing with the science and technology to design our equipment and work site in a way that fits how our body functions. So we have a certain design for the chair, with certain height for the screen, a certain design for the mouse. When we grip the mouse, if the mouse is flat, the computer mouse, if the computer mouse is flat, we will start having pain very soon. But it is curved, which is forcing our hand also to curve, and this way avoiding the pain. Psychological to do with our emotion and stress and phobia. I'm going quickly because, as I said, they are explained earlier. Differences in height, slip, trip, and fall, and environmental hazards. Environmental hazards like sandstorm, fog, very high temperature in the summer in some countries, rain, continuous rain, maybe in some other countries, and so on. Okay. Now, the point here is how I'm going to use my knowledge of these categories of hazards to improve hazard identification. If you recall our first exercise in this module, I have asked you to identify 5 hazards where you are. If you are in a room or a workplace or wherever. And what you did that time, you just start looking around, a kind of scanning. And you had no target that time. You're just looking around, scanning until your eye catch something. And that's it. That's a hazard. Okay. This will be possible, but it's not a very good system because it depends on our abilities as individuals. Some people are better than others, but we need a system. And that system came in the hazard categories. So now I'm going to do the same thing. And when we start looking and scanning, it's not just random now. I'm going to look where are the chemical hazards in my place. And then I look. I may find a pressurized can or a plastic bottle that we store some cleaning detergent. So these are chemicals. And I will go to look also where is the physical hazard in the room, temperature, maybe noise, vibration, and so on. And we can go and do the same thing with every group. As I said earlier, there is no sequence. There is no hierarchy in these groups. You can take ergonomic physics, electrical last, biological second, whatever you like. But we should cover all of them. We should cover all of them. And of course, uh, hopefully we'll identify at least one or two in each other. That makes them about 9 to 18 minimum. And you can see how greatly, if you redo this exercise, you will find a lot of improvement, a lot of improvement. Okay, the second skill that we should learn in our effort to improve hazard identification is using all our five senses. You know the senses we have: seeing and listening, that's hearing, and smelling, touching and feeling, and taste, to taste something. Okay, if in our exercises so far we used almost the first one, but the other one is used also, even if we don't notice that. For example, you are in a workplace or in a kitchen, and you hear the hissing sound of a gas leak or compressed air leak. And if you look, you may find a power tool that was left energized, pneumatic tool, I mean, or you may start smelling something. Like in the kitchen, you smell cooking gas and you know there is a leak, or maybe it was not closed properly. That smell is a very tricky one because some gases like hydrogen sulfide will uh, paralyze our olfactory nerve, which is a nerve responsible for taking the signal from our nose to the brain. So the gas may be increasing, but we will be under a false impression that it is coming down because we are not smelling it anymore. At 100 part per million, H2S will uh, paralyze our olfactory nerve. So most of the time, any concentration above that, we cannot detect by smell. So we are going to use a more reliable method, which is use of gas detectors, of course. Feeling by touch, or feeling by heat, whereas that's feeling as of heat or of a sharp object, we can feel. And taste, feeling and taste is one of the senses, or actually two of the senses that are developing very fast when we are even very young, toddlers. Uh, they start, actually, this is the main tools for them to explore their environment. Yes, listening is maybe start earlier. Babies can hear the heartbeat of their mothers, but these two, feeling and tasting. We are not asking you to taste everything, but yes, auditors of HACCP, which is a food hygiene standard, may sometimes, or chefs in hotels that in charge of HACCP, they may actually taste if they think it is correct to do so. Okay, so uses our five senses plus the categories, and how we are going to look for these others when we are in a workplace. We are going to look, for example, I have a flange or a piping system. I'm going to look above and below, front and behind, and inside. Inside, for example, you are passing by and there is a cupboard, looks suspicious to you, but you just pass by. But you can ask the operator of this place what is inside, and definitely you can ask him to show you. One of the important objects that we should see inside is fire hose cabinets. Fire hose cabinets are used to store a lot of things, and maybe the only thing that is not there is the fire hose itself, believe it or not. Gloves, plastic bags, um, uh, safety boots sometimes, you name it. Okay, so the second one was using the five senses, and we are going to use, when we are going to look almost everywhere. The third skill that we should learn in our efforts to improve our hazard identification abilities is being able to work in a team. It's not always as easy as it sounds or look. We have to be very careful when we select the team. We have to be democratic and allow the team members to talk. And we should not ignore asking the workforce, including laborers. They are the one actually doing the job by their hands, and they may see things that we cannot see. Having a fresh eye or somebody that is not very familiar, it may help. Use of checklists and structured audits and inspection. All this will increase. As we mentioned on one of the slides that is coming later, hazard identification should not be an optional. It should be part of the day-to-day activity. And this is something that we should keep in mind always. In the next slide, we'll see how we are going to implement all the three skills together.
Have two teams. If I can find 5 hazards and you can find 8 hazards, we may be ending by total of maybe 10 hazards we discovered together. If we discover some of the hazards were obvious for both of us. So having a teamwork, and this teamwork, of course, should be familiar with the area we are inspecting, but it also helps if there is a fresh eye. Sometimes it's helping if somebody doesn't know about it, but we give him the chance to ask whatever he wants. So these three elements will make our way to improve our skill of hazard identification, the skill of hazard identification. These three elements. We work as a team. We're going to use our senses, and we are going to use the hazard categories. Okay.
Now let us apply what we learned. We're going to do two exercises. The first one is a repetition of the first exercise we did earlier. And I asked you that time to look around and try to identify 3 to 5 hazards. That time you looked only without a target in your mind. You just looked randomly around, like scanning, until your eye hit something that you could recognize. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to apply these three elements we learned. So if we can work in a team, it's fine. If you have somebody with you now, if you are alone, it's okay. The second one, we are going to use all our senses, or most of them. And the third one, we're going to use the categories of hazards, and you will find it will help you a lot. And then you can compare your answer in the first time and your answer now. Hopefully you find a lot of improvement. I expect this time that you at least have 12 hazards. That's 1 hazard per each category, in addition to what you have identified before. Our next exercise is spotting hazard at a city library, and for that I want you to go to next slide. This is our second exercise. You are the EHS supervisor in university or city library, and your task is to identify hazards that the users of the library are exposed to. Maybe not only the users, maybe the people that clean as well. So, or security. So try to identify hazards. Look to the picture. Of course, I mean the picture to the left side. You have looked enough to the right side picture. So concentrate on the left side and try to not only to see, but use our senses. Imagine you are there. For example, noise. Noise could be a hazard. And here it doesn't have to be a very high noise because library is supposed to be quiet, maybe 50 decibel or something. A clever one of you could go and search and find what is the allowance for work site. We know it's 80 or sometimes 85 decibel, but for hospitals and is less, and for libraries are less. So you can try to identify the hazards, and I want you to use the 3 skills. Use teamwork if you have somebody with you. Use all your senses, imagining you are there, and definitely use your knowledge of the categories of hazards. Good luck, and send me your answers by email, our email at the last slide.
Now, as a simple test, is 3 questions. Hazard is, ampere is, and think of 9 hazards you might find at your room or house where you are living. I said 9 hazards here because I expect that you find at least 1 hazard from each of the categories we have considered. Hi everyone, let's end this hazard identification session by spot the hazard quiz. We have here 3 pictures for 3 locations from different work sites. In the first one, we can see a hazmat response team, hazmat hazard response hazard material response team. You can see them wearing here a chemical suit, and they are handling a cylinder. So you need to find and think of what kind of hazards are there. And the second one is taking for a flange of stainless steel piping. And look closely, and I'm sure you can identify at least 2 mistakes that will lead to hazards. On the third picture is a picture of band wall, and band walls are short height wall surrounding a storage tank facility. We know it is flammable because you can see the fire protection systems, the deluge system piping, the red one. So, but there is a hazard, obvious hazard here that I want. Let's imagine you are there. And the band wall, actually, the idea of the band wall is if there is a failure, if the shell of the tank ruptured and the content is spilled, the band wall should, by design, contain the whole capacity of the tank. And okay, so try to spot the hazards. If you can pause the video now and think of the answers, you match them later with the answer I'm giving you. But I want also to remind you of something I said earlier. Of course, we have the hazard categories and our senses. You can imagine you are there, and the teamwork. This is the 3 things that we discussed. But
Not only that, if you remember what I said about hazard in any workplace, hazards will result from three factors. The first thing is the function of the area or the unit we are working in. So if I am on a drilling floor of a rig, I have the rotary table, traveling blocks, and all this. If I am in a production plant or a gas bottling plant, there may be, so some of the hazard will be directly related to the function of this unit that you are inspecting. The second thing is what activity you are doing. Are you part of a maintenance team that you are breaking into contain? Are you part of this emergency response team? And you are exposed to most of the hazards that is the result from what you are trying to rescue, right? So what activity? Are you a welder? Okay. And the third one will be hazards coming from surrounding environments. The surrounding environment including a nearby activity or a nearby work that can affect us. So let's say we are in a production plant and everything is going well today, but 1 kilometer away from us, there is a rig that is flaring and they have HOS and it is being flared, coming to us as a sulfur dioxide. And it's coming to us because the wind changed its direction and now we became downwind. So that is the third possibility. So hazards from the function of the unit, hazard from our activity, and hazards from surrounding environment, could be weather as well. Okay? So think of these three factors and think of the three skills that we can use to find the hazards, and I hope you can get a good answer. You pause, I told you to pause the video, but in the first picture, just give you a few of them, you may find more than that. This hazmat response team is handling a cylinder that is probably damaged, either the valve or the body, and they're trying to put in the hazmat kit, drum in the kit, and we don't know what's the content. The content can be hazardous. The cylinder is under pressure. The cylinder is under pressure, the second thing. And this pressure, if it's allowed to leak, the cylinder itself can project like a missile and kill somebody. The gas inside could be flammable or inert or cryogenic, causing another big problem with cryogenic. Okay, you want to know the word of cryogenic? I want you to look for that and find it out. Okay. Cryogenic, cryogenic. Okay. The second one, you can see the flange. Each flange has a certain number of bolts, and usually it's related to the size of the flange and the amount of pressure it's trying to contain. And there is no way that design allow one bolt to be missing. So that is one mistake and it can lead to a certain other. You should identify that. And the second one, you can see the bolt on the right side. The bolt of the right side is flush with the nut. And the standard require at least a minimum of one thread to pass from the nut. So that is here using a short bolt. Okay, the third one, the one I wanted you to spot was the use of domestic electrical extension cords. They should use explosion-proof and weatherproof type for industrial area. Other hazards here could be trapped gases if it's allowed to come under the tank. Usually, of course, the area is open. Maybe they are storing something there. Another thing is the wall is stained with what looks to be
a continuous leak from some valve or some piping above. So that could be something that indicate a hazard from something in the system, but we cannot see it in the picture now. Okay, it was a pleasure to be with you, and if you like this one, I hope that you can push the subscribe button below and to help us to continue to serve you. If you have anything there is in mind, or you want to ask about something, or if you want to request a video about something or a question about something, it's not only me, there will be other people that we will invite to answer you. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Please don't forget that if you want clarification on any safety point and issue in your operation, you can email us on md@transtech.com, and please push the subscribe button in this channel to allow us to continue to serve you and maybe to learn from you as well. Thank you.